What's going on, everybody? Randy here, Nerds Templar. Where am I? Where am I? I'm behind Photo Glaus in the top right. Oh, it's not there. It is. There it is. Hello. What's up? Here we are, episode 10. We've reached the final episode of what is already posted. The time has come. We finish this, and then next Wednesday we have episode 11 release, and we'll also watch that live. I actually just remembered this morning I have several options to do that, one of which is doing it the way we're doing right now, because I'm going to have my own hard copy, if you will, offline version of the video. So we might just have that queued up and do what we normally do here, and just do it as soon as the video is scheduled to release at 9 a.m. We'll just start the stream like we are here. But instead, maybe we'll release them at 9:30. We'll start our stream at 9, and we'll do we'll do our hellos, and then also a quick update on. We'll do our own previously on Beyond Lumina. That won't be in the actual episodes, but we will do it here. Why not? So maybe that's the goal then for next time. So yeah, I guess I'll turn that music up. That was, of course, the musical number for episode 9, Drop Crag Nail. This, again, episode 10. Before we get started, let's give a quick previously on. So we'll turn on the spoilers there. Like, subscribe. No need to wait around any longer. I'm going to turn off all the pictures for now. That's mostly just for the intro there. For while you're waiting, maybe give a little more stuff to look at. But really, what's up, Angus? What's up, Troy? Happy to see you both. Troy, it's been a while. Angus, missed you in the last couple. This is my own story. These 10 episodes have been posted for a bit. I'm just going through them live because it's been about a year since I posted them. And then I'm doing the rest of the episodes on Wednesday and Saturday mornings. And so that'll be coming 11 through about 30. So yeah, that's that. And this is, the last one of the ones that was already posted. And then the new ones will be in the following Wednesdays and Saturday morning streams. And yeah, I'll be dropping the videos about 9:30 a.m. and Eastern, of course. And we'll probably start the stream at about 9 a.m. And yeah, just do kind of the same thing, but the videos will actually be releasing on the days we're doing the stream. Yeah, about a 30 episode story. It's 10 Google Doc pages per episode about. So 300 pages. Be a little over that if it was a novel, because Google Doc pages are probably are bigger than novel. I mean, like, there's more words on them than a normal novel. So there's that, but then there's also technically like 2 more books that would go along with this one. Could go. Oh, nice. Yeah, I was just chilling in the background for a bit while we waited to get closer to 9 a.m. Yeah, so that's all of that. So you can expect it takes about 25 minutes per episode. That's about what we'll be seeing. Pretty much what you'd get from a half-hour television program, which is exactly what this is supposed to be. It's a serial, you could say, series, episodic kind of story. The only thing is, we don't have all the animation and stuff to go with it. That would be great. It would be great just to have a female voice actor, and even maybe a different male voice actor, so there are just a few different voices involved. That would really make the quality of this so much better, but it wasn't really about the quality of it going in. It was mostly just about putting the story out there. In fact, it's one of my least polished stories. I started writing it literally for the stream to see what would happen, and as the story progressed, it formed itself, basically. I had like an idea for the ending, and then the rest kind of filled itself in as I went. Now it's pretty much all done, and we're coming back with the whole thing. So yeah, and then there's plenty of offshoot stories. So we got, of course, if you haven't watched the first 9, I would suggest doing that. But if not, I guess I'll give you a slight what's happened so far. Lieutenant Aezic Zin, our main character, Free World Alliance lieutenant, comes home with some on leave to his home world of Ravina. This is a space interstellar story, so like we're talking about like a solar system. Comes out future, of course, somewhere, or maybe it's a galaxy from a galaxy far, far away, a long time ago. Who knows? But yeah, so he comes home. He's having some headache issues and memory problems, in fact, as well. When he gets back to Ravina, his home world, he realizes that one of the other major powers, not the Free World Alliance, which he is a part of, but the Royal Ascendancy has attacked recently Ravina, and he learns that once he gets into its local space. He then realizes there's a lot of Free World Alliance traffic, which again is the Ravinians. The Ravina world is part of the Free World Alliance. That's why Aezic, being a Ravinian, is a Free World Alliance military member, officer, in fact. Once there, he wants to find the whereabouts of his family, and when he goes, he meets Sergeant Valeriz, who is concerned about his health because he's alone and he doesn't look like he's all again doing that well. Headaches, the memory loss, but just still a little foggy and everything. So she's sent by her superior to see if he's okay. She tries to help as well as her superior tries to help him out. Finding some leads on his family. No luck because there's a lot of missing citizens in Ravina. After he parts from those two, he then meets at the end of episode 1 Zario Launer and his crew posing as Ravinian military. Maddox Valanth and Hawk there, his subordinates, if you will, his two top-ranking subordinates. Takes them to the northern region of Animov, where they meet up with more fake Ravinian people, including a fake captain calling himself Captain Otteron, who sends them on a couple missions where they supposedly recover some data, but then when they're out in local space on an asteroid outpost, Aezic is turned on by the rest of them, the rest of Zario's crew, which includes Filony and Usion here, which you saw their pictures in the beginning, and also Mecca and Argyle, the more of the infiltrators of the group. They are under working under, subordinated by Bohawk, or yeah, I'm sorry, by Valanth there, and Hawk's subordinates are Filony and Usion. So turned on by them, and they are actually in turn turned on by the Royal Ascendancy, who they're working for as mercenaries. They decide the only way off the asteroid outpost is working together, and so they do so. They are able to steal the Ascendancy ship that comes to make sure the job is finished by the ones that are already present on the asteroid outpost. They steal that ship. They're able to get away, but there's nowhere to go because, well, at least they can't go back to Ravina, Zario says, because Aezic's wanted, and basically the Ascendancy secretly controls Ravina at this point. So they have to go somewhere else. They go to an independent world where they ditch the Royal Ascendancy ship. They get a ship from there instead by coercion. And then they go to a big Free World Alliance world where Aezic hopes to get some help. Trying to get some help there, he then runs in again to Sergeant Valeriz, who's sent there by her superior, who's there, Sergeant Major Ty Ravum, because he wants her to track Aezic because he's wanted, perhaps for reasons of suspicion, or he's suspected of treason, and so she's sent by him to sort of keep tabs on him. And they run into each other actually quite quickly whenever they're on the world of Satama, when they go to basically hang out together to kill the time, because Aezic is waiting for a colonel to return with perhaps some information on his family, or just the Ravinian citizens in general, or something else, some other thing, because there's many other questions going on already at that time. It's just too many to name right now. It runs into Vala there. The colonel's not in. They go somewhere, and they then realize that Aezic is wanted by also the Free World Alliance. Vala wants to get in touch with her sergeant there to make sure, Sergeant Major, to make sure that everything is okay and she should continue on her mission, which it is, so she does. And they end up then having to flee Sotama they've already parted from Zaryo and the rest, because why would Aezic want to trust people who've already betrayed him? They didn't even really have much tie to him anyway, but Zaryo was remaining with the ship from the independent world called Ob, so the Obian ship. He was remaining there with the rest of the crew, who wasn't very on board with that, but Zaryo was their leader, so they kind of went along with it. Most of them, at least. Mecha was not happy. Argyle basically just does whatever she does. So Mecha wasn't happy about it, so they left. Anyway, they all then come together. They save Aezic and Vala when they're trying to both make it off-world unsuccessfully, until Zaryo and the rest appear with the Obian ship. They almost get away, but they're shot down by defense not shot down, but they are shot by defense cannons from the ground. They're then doomed to drift through space until the rest of the life support and stuff fails on the independent world's ship. It's not like it's a major power ship, so it's not like super nice or anything, and they're drifting in the middle of nowhere basically. So they're all doomed to do that until the end. But then they are saved by one down here somewhere, and this is the other subordinate of Ty Ravim here, is Master Sergeant Maloon, who's on different missions for him currently. We also met a couple small passages of this private boss on the planet of Sor, which is part of the third major power, the Tansorian Federation. They're on the world of Sor private boss, and his commander, Sergeant Benta, who has reprimanded him several times. But Photoglass, the savior, he's just on a salvage vessel from one of the smallest planets, one of the I guess poorest planets, even perhaps in the entire system. They end up coming at the right time there to save them. They offer their help. Kostia is their planet. It's actually a royal ascendancy planet. They have little ties with them because they're like the black sheep of the royal ascendancy. So they feel like they might be safe there, and they also have no other option except to drift until their doom on that ship. So they decide to take their help, go back to Kostia with them, where they then learn a little bit about this interesting, strange religion that these people on this world hold to, which is a giant cave world, basically cavernous world that's the world nearest to Kostia. The only way they can survive there is under the ground. So it's a big giant cavern world. Everything's hewn from the stone, and then also it's forbidden actually to bring outsiders specifically to teach them of the religious ways of these people, of the Kostians, but most importantly not to bring them to the sacred temple, which is exactly where Photoglass brings them, because he has a feeling that these people that have just shown up randomly are important. And so he breaks one of the long-standing traditions that was set up a while ago, whenever the Royal Ascendancy threatened to destroy their planet because of their spreading of their message. And so they decided to shut up, basically, and live. But Photoglass thinks that it's time for that to change. He's heard that perhaps there's somebody else out there who believes that it's time as well. There's a superior who does not believe it's time for that and was reprimanding him last episode, as well as Sada Tlarans getting reprimanded by her own superior for teaching Vala a lot about, that was actually, I guess, 2 episodes ago, yeah, teaching her a lot about these deities, you could say, called the One and Omnis. And then that was actually the end of 2 episodes ago, episode 8. And then the officer, the Royal Ascendancy officer, who this Photoblem had warned Glaus wasn't going to be very happy about this, and also I believe it was Sauter Talarans had mentioned to Glaus it's maybe not be a good idea because some person named Drop wouldn't be very happy. And lo and behold, Drop shows up at the end of 2 episodes ago, and then last episode there he is, that just grotesque mug. It's a little okay. So these are also AI generated images. Just full disclosure, I didn't make these. I wish I had that kind of artistic skill. it would be so much better than if I did, because there's several things that could change. Obviously, the graying in the skin is almost perfect. I think I maybe wouldn't have made him look so crazy, but it is actually about where he's supposed to be. There's the Royal Ascendancy officer Drop, who comes. He's looking for Aezic and the rest. He already knows they're there, it seems. Glaus denies it. He is also then, like I said, reprimanded by his superior, and then his superior is going to then have to take over the whole handling of Drop, who, since he could not find Aezic and the rest, who were taken underground into basically the catacombs of the temple by Sauter Clarens, it was actually just Aezic and Vala who were at the temple. The rest were already gone. In fact, the only other ones still on Costia are Zario, Philony, and Usion, along with Aezic and Vala, because Mecca, Argyle, and Valanth have taken the ship as soon as it was repaired back to Ravina to try to rescue the one who was lost on the asteroid outpost, which was Bohawk, who has been gone since the asteroid outpost way back whenever they betrayed Aezic. Anyway, they left on the ship and left everybody else basically stranded on Costia. Officer Drop, though, not being able to find any of them, is angry, sends everybody else that's with him, all the subordinates, out to take one of the Costian citizens as a prisoner back to their ship. Officer Crag and Nail, his two top subordinates, I guess you could say. And Corporal Dodds I believe he was also named. Maybe he's named in this episode with Sergeant Maloon, Master Sergeant Maloon, Vala's other sergeant, other half. That would be her subordinate there, Corporal Dodds. Oh yeah, and then I just added him actually. So this was what I was going to show. So Aezic met this girl, young woman named Rini, working at a mushroom grove, which was one of the most edible foods on Costia, and he was happy to find that. But he also met her. They both, they both attracted to each other, but at the same time they're very different. So, and then also. She wasn't. So they go back after the ship's gone. Drop is there. Everything happens. The citizens are all taken by Drop and his men back to the ship. They're off world, and then they're trying to leave. They don't want anything to do with it. Aezic, namely, wants nothing to do with any of this. So he's trying to get off. He has no idea why these crazy people want to peddle their religion to these people at the expense of their own citizens, who have also not divulged any information about Aezic and the rest. And he just doesn't understand it. He doesn't want anything to do with them because he thinks they're insane and just not smart at all. And it doesn't want to be the reason that all of this is happening to these people, basically. But it's kind of too late for that. While he's off with the rest, Rini pulls up in haste next to them. After they actually go back to the Mushroom Grove and they're told to get out because Rini's father was one of the ones taken by the Ascendancy, by Drop and the others. And so they're not very happy with these Outlanders themselves. But then Rini later, once Drop returns, coming back to find Aezic or to take Foder Glaus away, one or the other, Rini knows that they're back with the Costian prisoner citizens, and goes to find Aezic. And even though she was basically calling him a beast before for being a soldier, basically, she now implores him in the rest for their help in saving her father and the others. Aezic doesn't want to at first because, like I said before, but then eventually he decides that they have to do it, and so they decide, yes, they will go and save the Costians. And that is where we left off. Usion was excited that was Aezic's decision. Usion, way up here. There he is. That big guy. All right. That is that, though. Now, finally, it's time for episode 10. That's what happens when I guess you have to recap 9 episodes. But that's it. Whew. All right. Episode 10. Here we go. And also, I think I'm going to maybe read live here a little bit at the beginning of episode 11 after this, just for a sneak peek. So until then, enjoy episode 10. Oh, also, I can't chat back because, I can't talk back because I'll be mute it, and I can't chat back because for whatever reason it wants to always minimize this window whenever I do that. So yeah, bear with me until the end. Here we go, 22 minutes. That's all. Beyond Lumina, Episode 10, The Rescue. Officer Drop, said Abu Abila, who had now come out to the temple porch to greet the Ascendancy soldiers. This time it was only Drop and his two other officers that accompanied him. I'm glad you've returned. I would like to clear up this misunderstanding. No, there is no misunderstanding, great Abu, Drop mocked Abila. You refuse to hand over the Outlanders, and until you do, we will continue to hold more and more of your citizens. And be certain that I mean to fulfill the wishes of my superiors, who are not pleased with the way things are progressing here. Bear that in mind as you choose your next words. Of course, Abu Abila answered. I would like to apologize for my confrere's actions. The fact is that he did bring Outlanders to Costia, and seems to have lied about it to escape any punishment. But as far as them being in the temple, I'm afraid I know nothing about that, and have had the entire temple searched to be sure, and would invite you to do the same to your desire. If you are looking for the Outlanders, they may still be on world, but I've made sure they are not here. Then it seems you have some fugitives on the loose you must find, Drop replied, and until you do, we will hold on to our prisoners, to ensure that you are doing everything you can to assist in the search. And where is Photoglaus? He is in his quarters, awaiting further instruction for transgressing our laws and his vows, said Abila. Good, Drop started. Crag, go find the old man and bring him to me. Aye, sir, said his male subordinate, who then entered the temple. Perhaps we will release the others when you bring the Outlanders to us, but the Photo is coming back to Evroth with us. Aezic and the crew returned to Omnis in the grav car of the young woman from the Mushroom Grove, who was named Rini. Aezic decided they would help get the Costian citizens back, among which was Rini's father. He was just having a problem coming up with how they were going to do that. I'm just not sure, Aezic started saying to the group as they started the short trip to Omnis, how we're going to do this without dooming your world to the Ascendancy's retaliation. No matter how successful we are now, they'll know that Costia betrayed them and you'll be destroyed. It doesn't matter how much we try to make it look like an outside attack, they'll obviously tie it to us and the Costians. Perhaps we try to make it obvious to them that they weren't involved, Villainy suggested. How do we do that? Aezic asked. They're here for me, and surely they know what I look like. As soon as they see me, or any of you for that matter, they'll know exactly what's going on, and anything we do in Costian space will obviously draw them here. But they don't know me, Wallace spoke up. What if we could take the ship and get them to think I was the culprit and it was totally unrelated? Who would be crazy enough to hijack an Ascendancy ship? Aezic asked. And why would they do it? Us, Zario answered. That was a lot different, Aezic replied. Wait, you've hijacked an Ascendancy ship? Vala asked, surprised. Is that how you got away from them at the asteroid near Ravina? Yeah, Aezic said once more. But like I said, that was much different. We didn't need to convince them we were someone else with other motives. Well, Zario started again. It's not unheard of for space pirates to take smaller Ascendancy vessels, looking for loot or ransom, and the Ascendancy doesn't care enough to pay them. But this is a military ship, and it's certainly not small. But you're saying it's possible? Vala asked. We just need to convince them, once we're away from Costia, that we are pirates who want them to pay for the return of their crew. Perhaps we even tell them we want the ship. It's a long shot, answered Zario once more, but it may be the only shot we have. Okay, Aezic said now. Then the first question is, if we are going to hijack the ship without being tied to the Costians, how do we get on board without being noticed? Leave that to me, Rini replied. I can get the soldiers' attention to let you have a chance to board. Are you sure? Aezic asked her. It could be dangerous. Who knows what they'll do,
especially if they find out you were playing them. I'm sure, Rini said again. It's the only way to free my father. I will do what I need to. It's going to be hard enough for one of us to sneak on board, Zarya said to his subordinates Phility and Usion. Why don't you guys stay here, keep an eye on things? We should be able to handle this ourselves. You seem pretty sure about that, Aezic responded. Of course, Zarya answered. We make a great team. He then stuck out his arm, holding a thumb in the air. What are you doing? Aezic asked him. Oh, it's just a gesture from Dasein. Seemed appropriate for the situation, Zarya replied. Alright, well, then let's get to the hangar, Aezic instructed. The trip there in the grav car didn't take very long, and the group snuck into the hangar through the side entrance, where they could scope out the situation from above on a walkway. There were 4 guards waiting around the Ascendancy ship, a modestly sized frigate. Aezic assumed for transporting the grav cars that Drop was using. But just like at the asteroid outpost, the sentries weren't too concerning. I'm sure I can draw them away. I will tell them I've spotted you, Rini said. Okay, Aezic answered. Philony, Usion, just keep your eyes on the situation. Make sure she's alright. Not a problem, boss, Usion affirmed. And here, Aezic began to reach to his belt as Usion's eyes lit up. Take one of the concentrated plasma blades. You might need it if things go bad. Usion took the blade and held it as though it were a newborn child. I won't forget this, he said, nearly in tears. Aezic also gave one to Zaryo and offered one to Philony, who politely refused, and so he gave it to Vala. I'm not really one for swordplay, Philony said, but here, this will help you get on the ship. He then handed Zaryo a small device. Good thinking, thanks, Zaryo replied. The device was known as a cloaking device, which could create a small field that would distort the light around it, effectively hiding the one holding it. It had a small range on it that could be slightly increased, enough for 3 people huddled near one another to easily hide together. And how exactly did you come across a cloaking device? Aezic asked them suspiciously, since cloaking devices were outlawed in all the major powers, and so certainly didn't exist openly in any other worlds either. It's a long story, Zaryo answered. Aezic stared at him. But it's a good one, Zaryo went on. I'll tell you sometime. Fine, Aezic said, then turned to Philony. Do you have another one for you to use? What, another cloaking device? Philony asked. Those things don't grow on trees, you know. Fine, fine, he replied. Just be careful and watch Rini's back. Finally, Aezic, Zaryo, and Vala made themselves look like pirates as much as possible, rugged and filthy, for when they eventually would reveal themselves and take the ship. We should also probably come up with some pirate names, and one for our pirate crew, Zaryo said. You know, to really sell the act. I was thinking we could call Vala Madam Fireblade, now that we're decked out in concentrated plasma blades, and we're the Fireblade Pirates. What do you think? I think your mind goes to strange places, Aezic replied, but it's apparently good at this kind of work. I agree we should do what we can to sell the act, and we don't have time to debate pirate names, so that will just have to do. We all need to figure out how to make it work on the fly, because we need to do this now before the rest of the crew comes back to the ship. Let's go. Good luck. Omnis go with you, Reedy said to them as they departed. Thanks, Aezic replied, but scoffed a little on the inside. Omnis clearly hasn't helped much to this point, he thought. Aezic, Vala, and Zaryo quietly made their way down to where the Ascendancy ship was docked and hid nearby. There were enough containers and other large objects lying around that it wasn't very difficult. Looking up, they still maintained a line of sight with Philony, Usion, and Rini up above, who were prepared to draw the ship's guards away when the others were ready. Aezic and Vala got close to Zaryo, then Aezic signaled to the others, and Zaryo turned the cloaking device on. The 3 were instantly hidden from sight. Help! Rini screamed. Someone help! The Outlanders are here! The Ascendancy soldiers guarding the ship looked up, startled by the cries of the woman from nearby. What should we do? Said one of them. She said it was the Outlanders, another responded. Maybe we should go check it out. No way, replied a third. We're supposed to stand guard. I don't want to get in trouble with Drop. What, you don't think you'd be in trouble for letting the Outlanders escape? Help! This way! They're escaping! They heard Reedy shout again. Good point, the third soldier said again. Let's go get 'em. The 4 soldiers ran off toward where Reedy was, brandishing their weapons. Let's move, Aezic said from behind the cloaking device's mirage. He, Zario, and Vala quickly made their way to the now abandoned Ascendancy ship. They would need to keep a good distance from anyone if they were to remain hidden within the field. They made their way aboard without a problem. Luckily, Aezic was familiar enough with all the Ascendancy's military vessels to find a suitable hiding place for them to wait until an opportune time to take over the ship. The group knew they would have to wait until they were out of Kostian space entirely before acting, and also before freeing the prisoners. Vala was quite nervous about the situation, but was a little relieved by how calm Aezic and Zario seemed to be. She was correct about Aezic, who wasn't concerned about this squad of Ascendancy soldiers, nor was he a stranger to potentially deadly situations. Zario was less confident, but was at this point well accustomed to overcoming his fears with the thought that things will be what they'll be despite how he feels, and that he was going to die sometime anyway, so he might as well not get too hung up on living. We will return in 2 rotations, Drop the Ascendancy officer said to Abu Avila, after we take the Fodor here back to Evroth. Command wants to see him immediately. When we do come back, you better have the Outlanders for us. You don't want to know what will happen if you don't. Yes, of course, Avila replied amicably. We will do everything we can to locate them, but I'm just not sure if 2 rotations will be enough. Make it enough, Drop said again, then turned. Come on, back to the ship. His subordinates followed him back to the grav cars, and they made for their frigate at the hangar. And you, Drop now said to Klaus with a wry smile, don't want to know what is going to happen to you once we reach the homeworld. Glaus was almost in shock at what was happening. He was quite a simple man, and as his appearance suggested, was a bit advanced in years. He had never done anything adventurous or really very interesting in his life, apart from rescuing Aezic and the others, and he would have never done that if it weren't for the persistence of the voice, urging him to act because the appointed time had come. Or am I just delusional, as the Abo and everyone else believes? He wondered to himself. Why would Omis come to me, of all people, with such an important task? I've already proven I can't carry it out. Reality felt surreal to him now, as he figured he was heading to his death on the Ascendancy's capital world of Evroth. Only once they've tortured me sufficiently, his anxious mind added. The grav cars quickly took them from the temple to the hangar, and after clamping the grav cars to the frigate, began to board the ship. Sir, one of the soldiers standing guard at the ship began as Drop and the others approached. We had an incident earlier. A woman was shouting that the Outlanders were here at the hangar, but when we went looking for them, we couldn't find them or the woman who was shouting. We asked some of the hangar workers, but none of them saw who it was or where they went. You're telling me the Outlanders were here and you let them escape? Drop asked angrily. Why must I continually deal with incompetence? Get on board immediately. We are taking the old man back to command, and then returning. Let the locals worry about finding them before we come back. The soldiers all boarded the Ascendancy frigate. Then Crag, Drop's right-hand man, followed them with Glaus walking bound beside him. And finally Drop himself and his other subordinate Nail boarded. Glaus was taken to the other prisoners, who were glad to have a Fodor with them for their spiritual needs, yet sad to see he was also taken prisoner. Aezic and the others also noticed Klaus taken past them into the prisoner's room, and looked at one another, knowing it was time for them to repay his favor to them. Even Aezic felt that way, whether he was happy about their current predicament or not. The 3 escaped sight when everyone boarded, and the crew was now mostly on the bridge, as they began to take off. Based on where he thought Kostia and Evroth to currently be in their cycles, he figured they had a bit of time to spare before they were safely away from Kostia, and could at least try to fool the crew into thinking they've been boarded by pirates. What is this place? Smells strange, Usion asked Rini, using his illuminator to scour what seemed to be a deep tunnel that stretched and branched in countless directions. These are the tombs, Rini started to walk off in one of the directions. It is where all of our ancestors who have passed on are kept. Wait, Villainy interjected, as he and Usion followed her. You're saying there are dead bodies throughout this cave? Well, it's not exactly a cave, Rini said again, but yes. Why would you keep dead bodies? He asked again. That seems very unhealthy. They're kept here where they don't cause harm to those above, but we keep them as a symbol of our belief that they are still with us in some way now, and that we will rise in the end and be united with the one who created all things. Really? Usion said, very intrigued by these beliefs. Right, Villainy said, very skeptical of them. And what makes you think the Ascendancy won't find us here? They wouldn't come down here, Rini began, because they don't want to be near the dead any more than you do, and also, even if they would think to search down here, they would know they would never find a Kostian in our tombs. They would be labyrinths to any outsiders. I can see that, Usion declared. But you know your way around, right? Villainy said, now a little concerned he would end up among the corpses in this tunnel. Of course, Rini assured them. It does have some structure to it, once you get to know it, and most people on Kostia spend a good amount of time down here, with their relatives. Villainy tried to remember if he had ever heard anything as crazy as that in his life, but he could not. He decided to change the subject. So what are we going to do now? How do we know when the soldiers are done looking for us? I will go back and check and let you know when it's safe, Rini replied. They won't know it was me that was calling for them. Okay, good idea, Villainy said. Just make sure you don't talk to any of them. They might recognize your voice. After a while, Rini led them to a different exit to the tombs that was still near the hangar. Still within the cavern, she stopped. Okay, wait here, and I'll go see if the way is clear. Leaving Villainy and Usion, Rini walked nonchalantly toward the hangar, as if she was coming from the tombs and just passing by. She searched around as best she could without being suspicious, sort of afraid that one of the soldiers was going to sneak up behind her at any point. It's okay, she thought. They don't know what you look like. They've never seen you before. She tried to even her breaths and calm her nerves. She then noticed that the Ascendancy ship was gone altogether, and her body relaxed at once. She quickly returned to Villainy and Usion and told them they were safe now. Okay, so again, Villainy said to Rini. What now? I don't think there's a need for you to wait here at the hangar. But I want to be here when they return. If they return, she answered. Why don't you go back to Omnis, and we'll bring your grav car back here and keep an eye out for anything, Villainy suggested. We can get back to you then if the Ascendancy returns, or bring your father and the others back when they get here. Okay, Rini agreed, and the three of them made for the grav car and went back to the capital city. Alright, Aezic whispered. It's time. Remember, we need to incapacitate the 3 officers first. They're the only ones likely to recognize us, especially Drop. I'll take care of him. He then handed Zario another small pistol he carried. It was a stun pistol. Don't miss, both of you. Be ready to put on a good show. Zario disengaged the cloaking device, and the crew cautiously made their way out of the room they were hidden in and toward the bridge. They were lucky that they seemed to have a skeleton crew on board, and Aezic figured it might be because it wasn't Drop's normal ship. They didn't encounter anyone wandering the halls and successfully made it up to the bridge. Aezic counted down, then with one swift motion, cut through the bridge door, barreled through it, and dashed with a stun blade drawn toward the commander's chair, currently occupied by Drop. What in? Was all Drop had time to say as he turned halfway around in his chair, then was clobbered by the stun blade, knocking him out cold in one blow. Before they saw what had happened either, Zario had taken down Crag, and Vala had stunned Nail. What? Are you Kostians? One of the other soldiers asked, dumbfounded. "Do we look like those religious fools?" Aezic said in the gruffest voice he could muster. Then you're the Outlanders we were sent for, the same soldier declared, more frightened now. "Ascendancy, dog," Vala now screeched in her own harsh tone. "Surely you recognize the great Madame Fireblade, captain of the Fireblade pirates, known and feared throughout the system." She then ignited the concentrated plasma blade Aezic had given her and flourished it as though she was an expert. "Who?" the soldier replied, now again sort of confused. "Don't insult me!" Vala screamed, now scaring everyone, including Aezic and Zario for a moment. She then turned to Zario. "Scumfoot, give him the binds." Zario stared at her, mildly annoyed, mildly amused, then took the set of binds they had found on the ship over to the soldier who had addressed them. Vala turned to the soldier again. "Now tie all your comrades." The soldier reluctantly did so, tying up even the stunned officers, and they gathered near the center of the bridge. "Sharptop, go with him and find a suitable place to store them for now." "Aye, sir," Aezic answered, then yelled to the soldiers, "Get moving." "What do you want with us?" the soldier worked up the nerve to ask as he was being dragged off. "Your ship and everything on it, of course," Vala said, "except for you." Aezic and Zario then took the 6 soldiers and 3 incapacitated officers to the room they had waited in earlier, then took all their weapons and equipment, leaving them with no way to escape the room. Heading back the way they knew the prisoners to be, Aezic and Zario turned the final corner and saw the door was now locked and unguarded, as the crew was all on the bridge. Once more cutting through, Aezic knocked in the door to see an astonished group of Kostians, among them Father Glaus, who was sitting near the door, bent over. He looked up at what had happened, then smiled when he saw Aezic and Zario standing in the doorway, and began to laugh.
That's it. That's it. That's probably one of the shortest. Actually, after episode 10 here, I started doing strictly 10-page episodes, so they're all going to be like very uniform in their time for the most part, because then whenever there's page breaks that, there's a little bit of space. That is all. Yeah, that's episode 10, but I will give a little sneak peek of episode 11, and then that will be all. For now at least. But Wednesday and Saturday mornings, every Wednesday and Saturday, we'll be releasing new episodes, and that's going to take us into like mid-December. So it's going to be a bit, and then so since that's about mid-December, maybe I might take a week or two off. Perhaps we'll see, because I might already have a bunch of stuff written to release by then, because I already have most of this written and done. So I'm already way ahead, so I might have a bunch of other stuff. But I will probably plan on a winter story, not like winter related, but during the winter we'll probably have something coming out. Whether it's like it might end up being the adventures of Zario and friends, back before meeting Aezic when they were just mercenaries. So maybe even the story of how they became mercenaries, what happened on Dalsine, their home planet, to drive them to become who they are when they end up meeting Aezic. So maybe that'll be what we do, or maybe it'll be short stories that are Wildlands, which is one of our other game universes. I might make one of the reasons I was starting to pump this thing out was so I could actually do Wildlands short stories and kind of form the universe of that game universe, if you will. Put some story, some lore, some background to it, just to make it more interesting. Because we already have several different Wildlands games made, ready, like in testing phase of just playing with my family. So like they're testable. Sometimes it's even more efficient or more useful just to test them by myself, because my family, the tests are a bunch of kids. So So sometimes it's easier but if I had a testing crew, once I should say a testing crew, that'll be great. We'll actually start being able to put some games out. Wildlands is actually the children's TCG though. That's what the universe is behind the kids card game that I made, that I'm creating, uh, sort of as an introduction to TCGs, but then also something that'll eventually ramp up to the point where anyone, there's going to be enough strategy that anyone could play, just like Pokemon, but probably better, in my opinion, my humble opinion. That's what a lot of the Foundry episodes and stuff in the past we were doing were about, just different stuff like that, basically pandering to artists for some artwork, perhaps, because again, all the stuff I use is AI generated stuff. That's no fun. Uh, because I can only use it a certain amount, and it's not for any retail or reselling purposes. I can't use AI generated stuff for that. So the best I can do, I was thinking about putting out a series of not really putting out, but making a series of, I think it had to come to 10, maybe, different business cards that I would send out randomly to whoever, buys stuff from TCG Player and eBay, just to incentivize, multiple purchases from me. But maybe make art cards for all the main quote unquote characters from Beyond Lumina here. But again, I guess just a rundown before we do episode 11, what's happening. Aezic, their main character, now boarded as as a pirate, the Ascendancy ship, along with his two pirate pals, Vala and Zario. They're now on the rescue mission. We have Valanth. We didn't hear from him this episode because he has gone back, along with two others from the group, have gone back to rescue Hawk from the surroundings of Ravina. They don't even know if he's alive, actually, but because they're loyal to each other, this mercenary crew, if you will, of 7, Zario and the rest, they want more than anything else. They don't care about Aezic and Vala at all, really. They just want to go rescue Hawk. So that's what they did. That's why they took the ship and they skedaddled. They're not even on Kostia anymore. So they went to go find Hawk. The other ones that went with Valanth are not actually Hawk's subordinates, who are Philony and Usion. Philony and Usion are still on Kostia. They were the ones with the Kostian girl Rini, helping to make sure she stays safe whenever she was helping to get the others on board to help save her father and the others. But they're the actual subordinates, if you will, again, of Hawk, because again, they're really just all a bunch of friends. And their leadership hierarchy is really just, it's more of a natural hierarchy, I suppose, if you will. So, but Philony and Usion trusted Zario's intuition, so they stayed with him. Mecha is actually Zario's sister. That was revealed in about episode 6. I think it was maybe 6, whenever they were stranded and thought they were all going to die. Zario, thinking to himself, implies to the reader that Mecha is his sister. So yeah, so she would be Mecha Launer. So she's gone, and Argyle are both gone with Valanth. And then again, didn't hear from Ravim and Maloon, and also Dodds was not in this episode down here. Corporal Dodds, Free World Alliance officers, all of them. And again, I can't even remember. I don't think the Saurians, Voss and Benta, were in this episode either. They'll be back, of course. They're slowly phased into the story, right? Can't give a bunch of people all at once. But you can maybe tell by the side scroll in there, there are 50 pages, which is 50 different characters with images now in the entire story that have images. There might only end up being about 55, but I think I have about everybody already. So they're all here. They're all waiting to be shown down below. But yeah, Photoglass, again, the one that brought them to Kostia and then was arrested and taken prisoner. Fotoblem, Soder Clarence, two of the other religious folk of Kostia. They're not all these religious type. These are a specific group in Kostia. Rini herself, Abila, the leader of the religious order, the religious folk. The three ascendancy officers, also known as Mirrors. the Ascendancy people. Drop, the leader. Crag and Nail, his subordinates. The grayness, he's a little too gray, I would say, but everything else about Crag is pretty spot on, I'd say. Drop is pretty much right, I'd say, with his gray face. Nail's okay, I guess. She could maybe use just a tint grayer, maybe, but everything else is pretty good. It didn't. And there's Rini. I believe that's the last. Keep showing the top of that next person's head, but yeah, Rini, the last one introduced. That's 22 of 50 characters in the story that at least deserved images, in my opinion. So that's where we're at with that. And now, before we go, one last thing. Let's do the beginning of episode 11 live here. It's going to be fun. Funny is more like it. Let me make sure that this looks good. I had to switch my stuff up. Okay. That's not right. Never mind. Oh, no, it's okay. You don't need to see. You don't need to see the text itself. This is what I'm going to bring up instead. There you go. We'll just bring that up. All right. Lots of talking. Let's see if I can do this. If I have any breath left. Episode 11, Pursuit. You're telling me that you let 3 pirates overpower you, and you call yourselves Ascendancy soldiers? Drop verbally cut down his subordinates after he came to and found they had been imprisoned on their own vessel. What pirates are so menacing to you that you would just surrender the ship to them? The Ascendancy soldiers had escaped the bonds in which Aezic and the others put them, but they were still trapped inside the room. It's the Fireblade pirates, said one of the soldiers, the same one who had spoken to the group when they attacked the bridge. The who? Drop asked, not recognizing the name at all. Led by Madame Fireblade, the soldier continued. They were extremely well armed. We didn't have a chance, sir. And now they have our weapons as well, Drop said angrily. And perhaps you're lucky that they do, or I'd kill you myself. We need to find a way out of here, or retake the ship, or we are doomed. The Ascendancy will not comply with any of their demands. Scene change. We had to disguise ourselves to keep Drop and his men from recognizing us, or tying this attack back to Kostia, Aezic told Photoglass, after seeing his amused and quizzical look. Their pirate disguises were good enough that it took Glaus a moment to recognize Aezic when he came through the door. That's quite ingenious, the Photor said with a slight smile. What is your plan now? You'll all have to stay here a little while longer, Aezic now spoke to the whole group of Kostians. We're going to do what we can to convince their commanders that we are after the ship and are holding the soldiers hostage until we're safe. It shouldn't take much more to convince them that we don't care who the others on board are, and that we plan to get rid of you as quickly as the soldiers. After that, we should be able to safely get back to Kostia. We are very grateful for your help, Glaus replied. We're just returning your favor, Aezic answered, withholding further comments. When Aezic returned to the bridge, Vala had successfully disabled the ship's tracker and masked the signature, effectively hiding it from the Ascendancy. She had just begun to set a new course for them. Zario had gone off to make sure they had not missed any of the enemy crew. Good, Aezic said. Get ready. Now that we dropped off their systems, their superiors will be contacting us. Sure enough, the ship's comms were opened, and an irritated voice rang through the room. Drop, what is going on? Why have we lost your location? Drop is currently indisposed, Vala replied with her best pirate impression. To whom am I speaking? You fool, came the response. Do you realize you've hijacked an Ascendancy military vessel? Of course, Vala said. You don't exactly keep your identity a secret. I am Madame Fireblade, and I plan on taking this fine ship for myself. No harm will come to the crew, as long as you leave us alone. You can have them back once we're safely out of your space. I don't have the patience for games, the Ascendancy superior answered. Who are you, really? Are you assisting the Kostian? You are assisting the Kostians, aren't you? So that's who the others on board are, Vala said, trying to sound ambivalent. We don't care about them either. Don't pursue us, and you can have them back too. You act as though you know who you deal with, the voice returned. But you don't seem to know that we will not negotiate with pirates. And unfortunately for you, we were awaiting the arrival of your ship and watching you closely. We will find you shortly, and we are not opposed to destroying our own vessel to keep it out of the hands of pirates. Vala looked at the others with concern. So, what's plan B? Zario returned just in time to hear the last question. The ship is clear. What's happening? We just got off comms with Drop's commander. The Ascendancy is coming for us, and it sounds like they're close. We need to get rid of these soldiers, Aezic answered, and get as far away from here in Kostia as possible for now. Simple, Zario said. Just cut off the atmosphere to that room and let's go. You were that comfortable with killing all those defenseless soldiers? Aezic asked him, surprised. He, however, remembered Zario's orders to his crew back on Ravina at the outpost in Animov. I'm not comfortable with it, but if it's between that or stopping somewhere and risking the Ascendancy catching us, Zario answered, then I'm at least willing. There's a better way of doing this, Aezic retorted. We're not resorting to the same tactics as these people. And how do you plan on getting them off the ship? Zario pressed Aezic. Did you think they would just be guided politely out of that room? We can handle a handful of grunts, Aezic said, or I'll do it myself if you aren't going to help. You're insane, Zario conceded. Those guys wouldn't hesitate to put you down. Exactly, Aezic replied. Why would you want to act like them? After finally giving in, Aezic explained how they might unboard the captive soldiers without them seeing Zario or himself, by knocking them out by altering the environment within the room, but they would have to wait until they were nearing a place to drop them off. In the meantime, the trio did their best to choose a direction they thought would put distance between them and the pursuing Ascendancy ship. And scene. All right, that is, how much was that? That was only, what was that actually? Yeah, no, that was it was about 2.5 pages, so about a quarter of the next episode. All right, wow. So that'll be next Wednesday, 9 a.m. Eastern, episode 11, whatever I named that one. I did mention whatever it was, Pursuit. And then, of course, yes, then Saturday morning we'll have episode 12. I'm thinking about putting out, I have like a whiteboard calendar thing, and I think I'm going to fill that in every month, and I'm going to start taking a picture of it and posting that to the community tab. So you'll have either that or some other way. I'm going to post a calendar picture into the community tab every month so everybody can see exactly what's happening, at least what I plan to have happening. If I need to change something, then I can also just put it into the community tab and do it that way. So that's the plan, because I'm also trying to I'm going to try to see if I can start fitting in more 2-stream days. There are some days that I do 2 streams. Actually, I guess there's only one day right now I do 2 streams, but I'm going to see if I can start doing a few more. The channel is eventually, once it's more than just me doing stuff here and we get really ramped up, maybe in the hopefully the near future, the couple coming years or whatever, and it's more than just me, we're going to have hopefully a lot of different things happening on the channel all the time. So there should be, not just me doing Pokemon stuff or not just me doing my own stories, but other stories, other like cultural critique kind of stuff, you could even say, maybe from me, other places as well. All kinds of different things that we were going to do we were and are hopefully going to do here on Nerds Templar. Especially once we start making our own games, we're going to be doing all kinds of, our own official game stuff here on the channel. Again, doesn't even have to be me that's going to be doing it. Hopefully it grows to the point where it isn't just me doing it. But yeah, it's so much good stuff planned for the future, and it's all for you folks out there, you people of goodwill who don't want to be bullied around by the woke society and just have to do everything that they always tell you. And they run, of course, media and gaming, of course, that falls into media and entertainment. They run all of that. They've taken it over. So all we can do as good people that want to fight against it is our own stuff, right? So it's me trying to do that and finding other people that want to do the same and can, contribute to that, whether it be creatively or financially or just, their prayers. That's always welcome, more than welcome. Or, just hanging out, liking and subscribing and commenting and joining the Discord and chatting in live and all that kind of stuff, because all of that stuff helps. The watch time is another thing that's always big, honestly. So, yeah, there's so many ways to support the mission of Nerds Templar. Yeah, and of course, you can also go to the TCG Player site in the description below, as well as the Discord. eBay too, but there's not a whole lot there just yet still. But TCG Player, tons of different cards we sell there. That's another way if you don't want to, well, we don't really have a direct donation thing yet. We hopefully will at some point soon. But for now, you could, of course, just go buy some TCG, some trading cards, whatever kind you want, and you can think of that as a little donation. So, yeah, anyway, that is that for now, guys. I will catch you. Since I don't have the schedule up, I'll just tell you. Tomorrow we're off because it's Sunday. Monday we'll be here in the morning every day. We're here in the morning at 9 a.m. Eastern, except Fridays we're here in the evenings at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. So tomorrow 9 a.m. We'll not tomorrow because Sundays we're off. So Monday we'll be here for some Pokemon TCG Live. We do that one day officially on Monday mornings. Just hanging out, mostly hanging out with subs and whoever pops into the channel and just playing some casual matches. Just like we do in person. We don't play Pokemon for the competition because I don't care about that at all. I care more about, the non-woke games that we're trying to create here. But I do go to hang out with people to do some networking, if you will. And also we do the same thing here, hang out together and play a little bit of Pokemon. It's fun. So that's what we do Monday mornings. Tuesday morning and Friday evening are the Pokemon collection streams. So catch me for those. Friday evening is the big one, and Tuesday is the smaller one, but it's still usually relatively big. This Tuesday we'll be doing prize packs and stuff from the tournament that's going to be tomorrow that I'll be going to. And then Wednesday and Saturday, like I said, going to be new Beyond Lumina episodes next week. Woo! And the only other stream then is Thursday, which is random, either Lorcana or Yu-Gi-Oh! It's not actually random, it switches every week. Next week, it'll be this coming Thursday, that is, 9 a.m. still. It'll be Disney Lorcana. We'll be going through the 2 new starter decks, also opening those packs up, maybe a couple other Shimmering Isles or maybe something else, who knows. That's what's on the schedule for that, though, and those are all the streams that we have scheduled for every week, including the week coming up. And then I also sometimes I'm trying to fit in another TCG live stream, maybe a little bit of a shorter one in the evenings, either Wednesday or Thursday evening. Still trying to figure out which day is going to be best for me there. Probably about 7 p.m. Eastern for that one instead of the 6:30 p.m., which is what Friday is. Those probably about 7 p.m. just to give me a little extra time to get here and get everything settled and whatnot. So that is everything, guys, but you can hopefully expect to see a schedule coming up soon, and hopefully that schedule will also be slowly filled in with morning and evening streams almost every day. But until then, I will see you in the mornings, except for Fridays in the evenings. Yeah, I'm Randy, and this is Nerds Templar. Thanks for chilling, guys. Troy, you especially, one of my subs chatting live with me, first person actually, and Angus, of course. I don't know if you're still here. Maybe you're still lurking. All of you lurking live here. I'm not sure. This is definitely the most we had for a live viewing of Beyond Lumina here at the end of all things. But yeah, 20 more episodes to come in the next 10 weeks. Coming at ya. Also live. We're gonna drop them at 9:30 a.m. We're gonna start the stream the same day at 9 a.m. and we're going to watch it live at 9:30 whenever it drops. So yes, join me for those Wednesday, Saturday mornings. Until then, Randy, Nerds Templar, peace out.